Hello, and welcome to the On the Couch podcast, the podcast that gives you the view from the therapist chair. I'm your host, John Dennis, a licensed professional counselor. You're listening to OTC Episode 7 with Josh Bound of Video Game Clubs of America. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by the podcast today. So I'm looking forward to getting to talk to you about the topic today of video gaming and technology. And I know that that's a really, really big hot button topic right now with esports taking a foothold in American colleges and universities. I know it's been out there for quite some time, just in the private market, but also globally. And just the whole idea of esports and gaming and how that impacts our kids and our families and mental health and things like that. And so today I get to sit down and talk with Josh Bound. Josh grew up in a single-parent household and fell in love with video games early in his life. He is convinced that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego developed his love of social studies, global connections, and ultimately helped him find teaching as a profession. Josh teaches at the Chambersburg Area Career Magnet School, where in the spring of 2014 he and 3 students founded the CMS Video Game Club. It is his belief that gaming can be used as a tool to help socially awkward students become socially active citizens. Josh is actively developing the Video Games Clubs of America, a nonprofit entity to help establish video game clubs in secondary schools throughout the country. Josh lives in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania with his wife, 2 incredible children, and his most awesome rescue pit bull, Annabelle. And we get to hear his story of just his struggle in connecting with his autistic son and how video gaming actually changed all of that and created a connection for him. I know that, this can be a very polarizing topic of, are video games evil? Are they the greatest thing ever? They're so addictive, or, there's just so many different ways you could come at this topic. And usually my approach to a lot of things, up to a certain point, obviously, is just about anything can be abused. You can misuse anything. I always, in working with the clients that I work with, I always tell them, like, you can actually drink too much water. You can exercise too much to the point of, exhaustion or injury. And a lot of our coping skills and relaxation techniques and things that we just, enjoy doing, you can overdo those. And the same can be said of video gaming, much like anything else. But there are definitely positives to gaming as well. And I know a lot of parents really bristle at it and struggle with it. The old phrase of the TV being known as the idiot box. And it's a time waste, and it's fostering a lack of connection between families. But a lot of times as a therapist, I often have to explain to parents that, it's important for you to move into your kid's world. And that, maybe your thing is golf or working on a car or, scrapbooking, or I don't know, just anything, just throwing things out as they come to my mind. I was picturing trolls in my head and the scrapbooking that they do all the time. So there you go. Yeah, my thank you to my 6-year-old daughter. But yeah, that idea that you are likely not going to be able to immerse them in your world and your interests. And if you're able to do that and you share that, that's great. That's awesome. I'm super excited that you have a way to connect with your kid. But for a lot of parents and families, that's not the case. And so a lot of times I will tell parents, like, go ahead, get obliterated in Halo or Mario Kart or whatever it might be. Now, again, you have to set parameters that you feel are appropriate for your family and those boundaries. I usually try to stress to parents, like, know what your kid is involved in. If you're going to give them a cell phone and let them have access to apps, know what the apps are and what they do, know what they're able to access through that. And the same thing with video games. Make sure you sit down with them and play it with them or read up on it and take some time to get to know what their interests are. I'm really looking forward to sharing this episode with you because I think Josh makes a lot of really good points, and he's doing just some amazing, amazing things in helping kids to develop social skills, to think outside themselves, and to give back to the community and the world around them, all through the platform of gaming. So hello, Josh, and welcome to the show.
Hello, Josh Bound here, right?
Yes. Really, just the story behind the TEDx talk that you did. I went with no agenda. I didn't know who was going to be there, and I thought, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is exactly, I wish all of my clients and their parents could be at the talk that you gave. So,
well, sweet. Hey, I'm stoked you're saying that you want to hear about it because the whole mission of it is just to get people to get together and be. I mean, that's kind of what it's evolved into.
So yeah, I guess give us your background.
I was a teacher. I'm going to start before then. I grew up single mom, and I moved 17 times before I was out of high school.
Wow.
I moved a lot.
All within Maryland, or?
No, all over the country. Like Hawaii, South Dakota, North Carolina, Maryland.
Oh, wow.
I was born in Texas, but I don't remember it. It's that type of thing. Anyhow, so I moved all the time, and I was single mom, single parent, so I fell into sports. And sports became kind of the big brother I needed. And so what happened was I had some pretty decent coaches. And next thing you know, I'm wrestling and I'm playing lacrosse and teaching me all the things dads teach their kids or are supposed to teach your kids. You got to work hard, all those things. And so I did lacrosse and I played lacrosse all through college and have this great run. And I get out and I start coaching, and then I have my son, and again, I found video games a long, long time ago while I was living with my mom because, my first, we bought, I remember buying the Nintendo Classic, the original Nintendo.
Oh, no friendo. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I was living, well, it's interesting you say that, but I remember all my friends coming over to play it.
I always say that's where the original Twitch started of like, go, let's play videos. There was only 2 controllers, and everybody was sitting around watching everybody else play Metal Gear Solid or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I even go before that. Like I'm talking Duck Hunt. Like we had.
Oh yeah.
So we had. I remember I was living in Mitchell, South Dakota, when the first one showed up at my house, and then it came. Mitchell, South Dakota. Find that on a map, right? It is what it is. So I ended up finding lacrosse, and it got me away from gaming for a while.
In South Dakota?
No. I found lacrosse. No. We moved to North Carolina.
Okay, yeah.
And in I lived in Chapel Hill and Durham, and so Duke University in North Carolina were where I went to camps and like little kid rec camps. So I started learning lacrosse in under those kind of programs, and then we moved to Maryland. And when I found, I just told my mom I have to have a school that I could play lacrosse. Well, it's basically everyone in Maryland at that time. So it was fun. So we ended up in Columbia and doing the thing. But then I really didn't get back into video games, honestly, until college when I was living in an apartment my sophomore year.
Now, are we talking Nintendo 64 GoldenEye or?
No, yeah. Now we're talking. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking. We're talking about GoldenEye, and then it became like 4 dudes in a room late at night, just beating the junk out of each other in GoldenEye.
Yep.
And then I grew up, and then I graduated, and then I started teaching and the whole bit. And so video games have never really been a major part of my personal life. Like I personally don't, beyond my phone and like Balloon TD Battle on my iPad, I really don't play video games. I only honestly play video games to be with my son. And that really is the big message here that parents need to hear is it is a tool. And I grew up single. Like I said, I grew up single mom without a dad. So I am hell bent on being the best dad possible. And I don't care what I have to do that.
Nice.
And so it just lucks out that my son has this thing that needs a little bit more. My son's on the autism spectrum is or the listeners are finding out now.
Sure.
So hi, my son's on the and so it's not something I say in my household. In my personal household, we call it the A bomb. We drop the A bomb only when necessary. And and I've been fortunate enough that my son is extremely light on the spectrum. And by that, because the problem with the autism spectrum is it's so vast that he's autistic. Well, okay. Well, what does that mean? So I believe my son is actually something called a sensory processing disorder, and so he gets fired up and he just needs to calm down and learn to self-regulate. Well, video games. It's interesting because like video games have really helped with that, which you wouldn't think it would, but it has. And so since the TED Talk went down, he's really kind of come around to the idea of like I don't have to hide from it anymore. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it's almost created a platform for talking about it.
Yeah, it's kind of and he still doesn't like the fact that. He still is self-conscious, and he's only 7th grade. He's still self-conscious, just like any 7th grade boy is for the most part.
Right where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, right where. Yeah, but again, like I said, I'm thankful that he's on the light end of the spectrum. If people know what that means, he's got small things that occur that are noticeable, but it's only noticeable when he's in a group of like extremely normal. Joe average, traditionally normal students or kids. But he's such a nice kid. He's got the autism problem of being so nice. That's, I rarely meet autistic kids as a teacher because I've been teaching for 20 years now. I rarely meet any autistic kids in a general classroom setting that are truly mean. I honestly, I don't find that. So, he's going through the normal, this is what he said at the bus ramp. And this, he gets into those tidbits and he gets into, he's living a normal life. And, he's got that problem though. He's too nice. 7th grade boy and a job.
That's a good problem to have though.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. Yeah. Like he's so nice.
And I have seen that as a counselor myself. Yeah. I've seen that where, you're almost like, oh man, it's like lambs to the slaughter. And you wish more kids struggled with it. And you're like, it'll serve you better down the road a little bit.
Yeah. My son, he's on we always push socialization as, the autism parent does. And you look for teams and sports and things and groups that he can get or he or she can get involved with. And we found Boy Scouts was a wonderful. Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts were wonderful. That's where it started his growth. But then he started on the Chambersburg mountain biking team. And so he races mountain bikes around the state every weekend in the fall.
No way.
And and so but his problem is, again, he's too nice. A kid will wreck in front of him and he'll stop to help the kid up. And I'm like, yeah.
I was gonna say, as a for the listeners that don't know, you played lacrosse. You and I both grew up in Maryland, the best state in the union. I always say.
there you go.
And yeah, that idea of like you went to UMBC, and that killer instinct, especially in lacrosse. It's like hey, you get to you get to hit people with a stick. It's awesome.
I slid across the crease as much as possible in my life, and I've put a lot of guys on the ground.
That's right.
And I'm like and then I coached wrestling and I coached lacrosse.
Well, and you said rugby, so
and rugby, and now I'm at rugby. It's like I am jock of jocks, and I preach jock of jocks, but here I am blessed with this kid that is nowhere, not even a tad bit inclined. And that's where the struggle started for me.
Well, yeah, you had said at the TEDx of like trying to find something to connect with him on.
Yeah. And I was truthful in my TEDx speech. I said, we had this moment under working on a car, and I couldn't reach it, and he wasn't giving it to me because he didn't want to get dirty. He
the wrench.
He couldn't. Yeah, the screwdriver. He couldn't get. He didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to get dirty. And that's when I knew. I was like, this is. How did I end up with this kid? And I honestly had to I did a lot of self-reflecting before I came out from underneath that car that day. I remember laying there and just staring at the
underside
of a Volkswagen Beetle. Yeah, the engine.
Nice. What year? Do you remember?
It was a 68 convertible Beetle. My brother and I restored it for my mom as a gift, and I just couldn't handle it. So I got out and I said, something's got to give. And then I found video games, and I was just literally before this talk, we were just talking about video games and hanging out. He plays League of Legends now, and he's a Fortnite junkie, and just like every other kid. And so competitive esports, that's a thing. It's a whole new world. And so, when you get these kids making money just to play games, it's the same thing as professional athletes. It's work. It's not fun anymore. It's work.
Well, and part of why I wanted to talk with you was, for so many parents, there's something they're deathly afraid of and something they don't even want to move into. And
I would challenge any dad out there that's listening to this, any mom or dad who has ever played a sport, or I'm talking backyard football to basketball to anything. If you have a kid that's on the autism spectrum, buy a Nintendo Wii. They're like $50. Nintendo is the safest platform to introduce video games. I think they only have like maybe two or three games in their history that have anything higher than a PG-13 rating. So like Mario Kart. I was just playing Mario Kart. I'm doing a Wii bowling tournament in here at my school right now, and it's the same idea. Is like you take it and you make it a sport. Sport is just competition. That's all sport is. I don't care if it's poker. It's just competition. It's a game. And to take something that is super animated, which autism kids like motion. They like motion and they like moving. The Nintendo Wii and the Wii U and the Switch are built for moving. It's not an Xbox and it's not a PlayStation where you sit behind a controller and you're zoned in. No, it's like there's a boxing game called Arms where you have two controllers and you literally are airboxing this.
Like Rock'em Sock'em robots, yeah.
Yeah, it's Rock'em Sock'em. Yeah, and you challenge your kid with that. And you say, all right, let's play. And me versus you in Mario Kart, or me versus you, and it allowed me as a jock dad to fill the void of I'm getting to teach my son the things I can't teach him because of this thing. I taught him how to win and lose. I'm still practicing winning, and he loves winning. He's learning.
I was gonna say, do you trash talk?
Oh my! You have no idea. Like you have no idea.
You're chirping at him.
Oh yeah, and again, you got to gauge your kid. My son, I never forget one day we were playing Mario Kart and he was just destroying me. Well, I haven't told him. But I was racing kind of slow. It was the beginning. He was figuring it out, and I had already figured it out. All you got to do is push A and steer. It's not that hard. And so, or B or whatever it was. And he started talking trash.
You're like, oh, okay, now.
And no, like the jock in me kicked in. And I was like, really?
That's how you want to play it? That's okay.
Yeah, he beat me 4 straight. And then he said, because Mario Kart is, you race 4 different races. And he had placed first every time. And then he had said something. He looked at me like the most normal jock kid and said, "Dad, you really got to get good at this." And I was like, "You little fill in the blank." And I'm like, "All right." So I said, "Push play." So I pushed play, and it became cutthroat, Josh bound jock. And I was like, how second place feel? And we go back and forth.
Yeah, the Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, if you're not first, you last, right? Yeah. So so like I would highly encourage any autistic parent. And there are games on the Wii that you can find games for everything, and it's super friendly.
So on my end as a therapist, what I talk with parents about is like, look, video games are different today. You're in my day, you could beat them. And that was the point. The point was to play them, to beat them, and see the credits roll and know, how fast did you beat Contra, or how many lives did it take you, or and they don't make them that way anymore. Minecraft is endless.
Dude, it's literally endless. I mean, it is forever endless. And when you think you have that, you build another portal, and it takes you to a whole nother level, whole nother world you never knew.
Well, I think with Fortnite especially, they've tapped into, okay, it's even more marketable than we first realized. Now we have, with especially League of Legends, you have rankings, and okay, what is it, like November 12th, I think is the
November 12th. Yeah, the new season comes out.
And then Fortnite, same thing. They release a battle pass, and every kid on the planet is either their phone or whatever it's on. It's downloading in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, no, my son woke up to download it. He set his alarm.
They set an alarm. Yeah.
But that's the kicker. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's the responsibility.
It's executive functioning skills.
Listen, that's the responsibility of a normal person. Like you're talking about. Well, you got up for Minecraft, didn't you? Or you got up for Fortnite. Why can't you get up for? And then all of a sudden they go, "You're right, Dad," because middle autistic kids are literal thinkers. So if they can justify waking up at 5 a.m, do that, you got them because they did it. They're you did it before. We'll do it again, and they go, "Okay, well that makes sense. A plus B. You're right. It repeats. I get it. Math."
Well, and a lot of times, what I explain for parents is, with preferred versus non-preferred tasks, the pleasure center of your brain is firing, and it's helping that hyper focus is there because of it's a preferred task.
You preferred it. Yeah, you prefer it. So I'm glad he's mine. I wouldn't trade anything about him or him for the world. And we have this great bond, and we talk about life. And now he's talking about girls, and he's going through puberty, and he's doing all this stuff.
Now, is that going to take you over into Sims, or?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, well, maybe. I don't. I mean, I've always talked to my kids straight up and down about everything forever. So, like, because I teach for I've been teaching for 20 years now, and like, I always see what parents don't do with their kids because I'm with the kids when they're not with their parents, so I get the real kid. So I've had a pretty decent eye on what to do and what not to do when it comes to children, just because I'm in the school system. And so when video games came along and I had that moment under that Volkswagen, it became, I need to find a method. And this is where the educated part of me came in. I need to find, there is an answer. Don't tell me there's an, and I'll be honest, the sad part about all this is I cannot even count how many people told me, "Oh, he's got the label. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can do." Blah. And I'm like,
"Oh, the autism spectrum label."
Yeah, he got that. The A bomb, right? The A bomb.
The tag. Yep.
Yeah, he got that A bomb. So I said, "That's nonsense. That is utter nonsense." My kid has had an awesome life, and it's because I, as a parent, don't look at him like he's any different.
Yeah. let me jump to the VGC. How did you become connected to it? Like, what is it? Yeah, so kind of explain it for the folks.
All right. So the video game club, started as I found out that I realized that video games were a connection between me and my son at home. And then one day while I was sitting in school, three of my students were sitting around, Aiden, Zion, and Sarav, and myself were sitting around. And we were just, they were actually talking trash about PlayStation versus Xbox, which one's better and why and whatnot. And then out of left field, I chime in that obviously PlayStation is better because you don't have to pay for your friends like Xbox Live. And they were starstruck because a teacher who was like 30 something at that time
knew something.
Yeah, like, wait a second, you play video games? And I go, yeah, I've been playing video games, da da da. Well, and next thing you know, through the conversation, Zion was like, cool would be to have a video game club just out of left field. And so we started. And so we went and we petitioned basically the principal of our building. Hey, we got this idea. And it's going to help a lot of kids because it's going to teach social skills and it's going to offer a safe space for kids who have a hard time making friends. And it's going to be this really cool connecting tool. And I have the most awesome principal on the planet. And he said, I trust you. Do you want to do it? I said, yeah. And he said, okay, well, let me see how you need money, right? I go, yeah. And he says, all right, what are we talking? I said, well, and then the kid said, well, PlayStation 4 is X, and threw out this like $500. And next thing you know, we had a $500 to go buy a PlayStation.
Wow.
I mean, I couldn't. Yeah, Dr. Mark Long. Hashtag Mark Long's awesome. He is phenomenal, and he trusted me as a professional because in our school it's about mentorship. We have a mentor period built in into our schedule every day, and we do mentorship. And I said, this video games will connect with all the kids that get forgotten, like that whole middle road. There'll be kids out of left field that'll flock to this place. And next thing you know, we did it, and we're off and running. But
so it started with PlayStation.
Start with the PlayStation, the three kids and myself. That was it. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, weirdest thing, I got to go buy a PlayStation today. And she was like, we don't have money for that. And I go, no, you don't understand. The school's buying it. And she was like, what? And next thing you know, fast forward 5 years, I'm doing a TED Talk. Like what? How did I get here? Like, I really asked myself that a lot. Because what happened was the next step of it was we realized we had to prove ourselves because inside this building, we were a club, but outside the building, we were nothing in the school system. And so what happened was those kids decided, hey, let's just play video games for a little while and we'll see where it goes. Well, someone came across the extralife.org website because we were trying to figure out a way to like legitimize ourselves. And extralife.org raises money through gaming, through board games, through like 24-hour marathons for children's hospitals, cancer children's hospitals. And yeah, long story short is we did our first fundraiser, and it was an overnight fundraiser, which was crazy. That the kids were like, we're going to stay here all night and play video games.
This is amazing.
This is amazing. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, the kid that was never known by any jock cool kid was like, we're getting asked by the jock cool kids, hey, how come you get to stay? How come I don't get to stay? And they're like, you're not in the club, dude.
Yeah.
And they started giving it back to these guys. And so we do this thing. And unfortunately, Chris Sellers, one of our students, passes away. And that's when we realized that like we need to prove ourselves through like social outreach, philanthropy. And so we started really looking for ways to really be seen, and not just be seen as glorious, but really be glorious. And so we would do things, and we really don't advertise what we do. Because I teach, you really shouldn't brag about yourself. Like, know you did a good job, and everybody will know you did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be that guy, right? If you want to be that guy, go play football. That's that type of mindset. And so, these kids are all good kids. And next thing you know, by the end of that fundraiser, I had over 100 kids signed up, and we'd raised $1,500 for the Sellers family. And, it was a really good sense of accomplishment when Mrs. Sellers came and went. And our kids just were like automatic. This is what we have to do. So then it got transitioned into the next year. It was, we're going to start working for like, the dog, the Cumberland Valley Animal Shelter. We're going to raise money for them through doing a car wash, or we're going to volunteer time at a local event. So we're going to do, and they started doing all this kind of really cool stuff, small, but it wasn't big. And then it became, all right, well, how do we go bigger? So bigger now is we put Nintendo Wii's in all the pediatrics rooms of our children at our hospital, the Chambersburg Hospital. So every room has a Wii with 2 controllers, and they have an encyclopedia of video games and DVDs. And all of our kids, we got everything organized and we gave it all to them. And Summit Health came over and accepted it, and it was like front page worthy, local newspaper.
That's so cool.
Yeah. These kids are actually seeing like
you can do something with this.
I'm not just a gamer. I'm an active member of society, and that became our new normal. And then we got involved with with the autism walks of Franklin County of Chambersburg Area School District's autism walk. And we started working with those guys, and we ran a Minecraft room, and we did, it just started going, and it wasn't scary to do. It was just, you needed to just do it. And that's kind of hard to explain to people, but the reality is just get some kids together, put the Nintendo on, and sit back and watch, and you will be shocked at the conversation an autistic kid has with a jock kid, or I hate saying normal, but a average non-autistic kid. You'd be amazed how they come out of their shell because it's something they are confident in. Does that make sense?
Well, and I think you had said during the TED Talk, sort of like it levels the playing field.
Yeah, it's a neutral. Yeah, I like to say a neutral platform. It is as neutral. The controller doesn't care what color you are, how old you are, how if you're overweight or underweight, or it doesn't care. It doesn't care. And so when you have something popular like Fortnite, right, which is like mega over the top, mega popular. And then you get a kid who that's what he likes to do. Well, now you're one of the cool kids because you're doing what society is deemed as cool. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it gives the kid a voice. It gives them a neutral platform. They don't have to be fast. They don't have to think fast. They just have to play and react and do their thing. Today I watched a Wii bowling match go down. We have a tournament going on at my school right now. And it's a 2-on-2 tournament. It's been going on all week during our mentor periods. And I'm convinced 2 kids that were on the spectrum, they found each other, and I don't even know if they were. They found each other, and the way they were acting was very atypical kind of autism spectrum behavior. And they were jumping in place when they were in between bowling, and they were doing all the little things that I'm like
flapping and hand wringing and
not hardcore flapping, but they were definitely, they wanted to. And so they ended up beating the coolest kids in the building today. I was just like, this is amazing. Nowhere else are you going to find this dynamic.
Yeah. Cue the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Don't you forget about me. Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's where we are. So the video game club, our new mantra, because we've done all this work in society, is now, how do we make it everywhere? That's our new thing. Like, how do we take what we've done here and make it in every school? That's what we want to do. Every secondary school. When at the TED Talk, I said high school, but after thinking about it, we've even taken on a bigger change. Yeah, we're actually aiming at the middle schools as well, because the middle school is where you need it actually the most on an emotional, like, bullying level. If kids see each other in 8th grade as cool, or 7th grade as cool, they're going to be cool the rest of their lives. You don't have to. No kid should eat alone. And that's one of my things is like, I never want a kid to eat alone. And if they have something in common with someone else, autistic kids eat alone a lot. And that is the saddest thing on the planet for me as a dad. Like, I'm tearing up talking to you about it. Like, I never want my kid or anybody's kid to go through that. I'll go down to lunchroom and I'll sit down with kids that are alone. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Do you, and I'm asking them, do you choose to be alone, or is this how it ends up? And most of the time they're choosing to be alone in my building, but in other buildings, it's not a choice. It's a default setting.
You're listening to OTC Episode 7 with Josh Bound of Video Game Clubs of America. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
Life is hard, but Parenting and Family Solutions is here to help. Our board-certified counselors are easy to talk to and offer a safe, encouraging environment to help you with your unique needs. We specialize in helping clients of all ages deal with depression, anxiety, marriage issues, screen addiction, and ADHD, just to name a few. We now have daytime and evening appointments available in Harrisburg and Lancaster and accept most major insurance plans. Visit our website to learn more at www.parentfamilysolutions.com or give us a call at 717-602-5560. Let us help you build a stronger family and a healthier you.
So the one question I had wanted to ask was, with the VGC, how do you address, Soraya, that comment was a little offsides, in terms of the trash talking, or somebody's starting to actually get angry.
Those moments are teachable moments. That's the quintessential teachable moment. Whether it's in the VGC or it's with my son, it's the same thing. It's like, as the parent, you are the one who recognizes, okay, we need to calm down, and everybody needs to take a break. And when they come back, we're going to talk about it, just like a counseling session. And the quote unquote normal kid who's in the room, who's part of this problem, who just happens to be constantly killing the other kid in the video game, he needs to learn, look, when do you stop pushing buttons? That kid needs to learn something just as much as the other kid needs to learn how to calm down, how to self-regulate. You know what I'm saying? You reading social situations is for everybody. So, I love those moments when we have it. And, it's a safe environment, video gaming. Nobody's coming at anyone's throat. It's just saying, hey, you just went through this moment. Did you see how he felt? I'm not trying to have a talk it out moment, but you can see how he is. He's angry right now. Well, what'd you do? Well, I did it. Okay. Then you talk to the other kid. Well, why are you angry? He keeps, okay, how do we work this out? And then they usually shake hands and they hug it out, and then they get right back to playing video games. It's the weirdest thing to see. But that's what we need.
Are you able to, I'm sure you've heard every argument in the book as to why you shouldn't do this. What are the main concerns the parents usually have?
Addiction and OCDing is the problem. The one I always run into with video games with parents, and even establishment like the Board of Educations there are lots of studies out there that say this encourages violent behavior. And then I go, okay, cool. What is football? And they go, I go, okay, then what's abnormal about this? It took me one sentence to stop you in your tracks. And I go, what is lacrosse? It's the most violent game on the planet. But somehow we legitimize ensuring entire fields of kids beating the hell out of each other for what? None of them are getting anything out of this. They're getting nothing. The school, look at the stands. There's nobody even watching some of these games. Who's getting something out of this? Oh, they're in shape. Are they in shape? Because they're going to blow their knee out on this turf next month. What are we soccer? We get concussions like you wouldn't believe, but nobody wants to make them wear helmets because it takes away from the game. Oh, society makes all these excuses. There are no excuses. It's just the new thing. So esports. This is how I do it. I esport it. And this is where we're going. Video Game Club. We're going to be running an esports league here. And so, we're starting VGC esports. And so it is, if you are a VGC school, we're gonna have your whole school can play these 6 games, a fall season and a spring season, just like normal sports. And then I tell them, I say, here's what makes this valid. 1, it costs your school internet. That's all it costs you. You're not paying for gas to go from here to Mechanicsburg and back. You're not paying $400 for the band to go with you. You're not dropping insurance rates on this. We're talking a computer, electricity, and the internet. So from an economics point of view, schools will buy into it because it allows more kids to be active. Camaraderie is built. What those lacrosse kids get out of beating the hell out of each other is camaraderie. That's all they get. I remember that time I was at your back. I had your back. Yeah, the kid who plays video games is the same thing. Dude, you did that. It was awesome. High five. Same thing. The exact same thing. I bet if you compared a League of Legends celebration when they win, physically how they celebrated to someone winning the Super Bowl, it would probably look the same. And there'd be just as much confetti, and except the video game kid isn't going to have some sort of post-traumatic thing 25 years from now from getting hit in the head.
Yeah, no, CTE, yeah.
Yeah, CTE. You're not going to have, they might have carpal tunnel at the worst.
Yeah.
Invest in carpal tunnel syndrome. That's what I would tell anybody. All right. So, surgeries, like LASIK, it's the new LASIK, I guess. But that's what I would say is like, you got this moment that you can teach these kids. Why are you a teacher? Why are you a church leader? Why are you a parent? Why are you the guy outside that just is telling a kid, get off your lawn? Like, it's all relationship building. The whole world is relationship building. If they don't have a positive relationship with the guy next to them, it's not going to be a good time. That's the truth. So video games are this perfect platform. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we ran a Fortnite tournament, okay, for a teacher named Amy Stockslager. I don't know. I'm putting her on blast, I guess, but she is fine with it. Amy, well, on her first day of school this year was diagnosed with breast cancer, right?
Jeez.
And, an aggressive form of breast cancer that she went in full. She's a scrapper. Like, she went in, all right, whatever we got to do, we're going to do. And so one of the kids at the other high school, Chamberlain Area Senior High School, said, hey, we should do a fundraiser for this teacher. Did you hear about this teacher? I said, no, I don't hear about this teacher, because it was just becoming a kind of a talking point. And so I said, okay, well, how do we do it? Well, let's do a Fortnite tournament. All right, cool. So I'm on my way home from I'm on my way home from Boy Scouts, and I stop at Buffalo Wild Wings because it's 2 for Tuesdays, right? Everything's on sale, right? That's the best time to buy, right? And I talk to the manager, and I say, hey, I got an idea. What are the odds that you let us come in and turn all these screens into a video game world?
Wow, that's awesome.
Hashtag Rocco is the man. He said, what night can you do it on? I said, what night is the most dead for you? He said, Wednesday nights. I said, cool, give me a Wednesday. He said, fine, here it is. So we went in on a Wednesday. We ran a bracket. It was a single elimination. It was a $20 buy-in. So all the money went to charity, right? All the money minus the prizes went to charity. Rocco at Buffalo Wild Wings hooked us up with drinks and, pretzels and whatever. And we bought food while we were there, had a great time, camaraderie. And they fought this tournament out to a winner. We gave her a $500 check plus the $148 we made from the 10% that Buffalo Wild Wings has given us. So just by playing video games, one little small tournament, $645 or whatever it is, went to the Stockslager family. Just because. And these kids, they just don't know it. And, it didn't hit any of them how important it was until Mrs. Stockslager came up and took this check from us. And then it became like, holy crap, we're like, wow, this is like a real thing. I go, yeah, this is what it should be. You should be contributing to society.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Yeah, just I love that it's taking something and not being afraid of it and teaching kids how to use it for giving back, for building relationships, that's so amazing. Man.
Yeah, and that was just a couple weeks ago. This Friday we're doing our 24-hour video game marathon overnight again. And so we're raising the money to the two schools that have come together, and we're doing an overnight I have 140 kids in the building with me.
Bless you.
And each one of them is raising at least $40. Yeah, no, I have yeah. It's not, but it's actually awesome because they're all playing video games, so they're not in the halls running around.
Yeah,
like you really don't have to worry about them because they're all on TV screens, and so it's a wonderful thing. So we're actually supplying the food bank for Thanksgiving.
Wow,
the two food banks in our schools. So out of playing video games all night Friday night, we are going to spend basically $1,000, and we're going to buy about 50 families Thanksgiving dinners.
Man.
And I'm gonna have all of my kids deliver them. Like, here you go, this is for you guys. Here you go, this is for you, so that they get that sense of like, I did this for a greater issue. It's not, forget skin color, forget what language you speak, forget poverty level, socioeconomics. It's about just doing the right thing. And that's what it is. And they just happen to be gamers.
So with, I mean, obviously we're winding down 2018 and heading into 2019 pretty soon. So is that kind of the main project you're working on right now? Or are there others?
Yeah, that is the main project that we're doing right now is setting up VGCUSA. I'm learning about all the legalities of a nonprofit right now.
Oh yeah.
I have a meeting tomorrow with some lawyers to get our nonprofit number and all these things. Once I become a nonprofit, people can donate money to me. And once they donate money to me, this becomes an absolutely real thing, because now you're talking, no, we have funding to do X, Y, and Z. And, so like our grand scheme, this next year will look like this if all goes well. In December, I go to Apple to work with my school on a project. I'll be talking their ear off about getting involved with this. So I'll be at Apple. In January, I'm going to MagFest, which is the music and gaming festival. It's one of the largest conventions in the country. I'm a panelist at MagFest, right?
Are you doing any cosplay while you're there?
Yeah. Am I? No. And that's an interesting question, because I take students down, and when I'm there, not as the VGCUSA guy, we're actually thinking about, like, how are we going to cosplay? Like, as a group. I take a bunch of kids down for one day, and we hang out for the one day, and then when I bring them back, and it's just a field trip. I mean, it's like anybody else, but it's to the most ridiculous land of Oz you've ever seen.
Sure.
Because it's it's cosplay, it's dudes gaming, it's music, it's board game. Oh, it's amazing. And so that's I'm lucky enough to have been chosen for a panel. So I'm running my own panel now. Whoever comes and talks to me, I'm going to talk to them about this experience and why this needs to go down. So, like, in January 3, 4, 5, 6, at the Super MagFest in National Harbor, DC, I am going to be at the Gaylord Convention Center, just rocking it out and doing it up. But then a month later, I got accepted to do a panel at something called P&C, which is the Pennsylvania Educators Technology Expo and Convention. So it's all of the teachers and superintendents and tech junkies in education for Pennsylvania are coming together in Hershey for 3 days. So I'm a panelist, and I'm teaching about, and my panel is called Video Games and Social Philanthropy. That's what it's called. So anybody who shows up, I'm going to give information out. Hey, start a club today. Because we'll help you. Like, here it is. My students have built a website. The whole we're like 95% done with VGCUSA.org, which you can check out. We're big I'm learning social media. I hate it, but I absolutely despise it. But I'm forcing myself to learn. The power of Facebook is ridiculous. And Instagram, Facebook. I've been told officially by my students that Facebook is for old people and Instagram is for young people. And I said, okay. I said, that's fine. So how do we work the two so I only have to do it once? And they said, post to Instagram, it'll post to Facebook. I said, all right, let's do that.
Yep.
So now I have a whole crew of students who are responsible for just make us look good. And so they post, they don't post an obnoxious amount, but they post just enough. So it's VGCUSA on Instagram, and we're VGCUSA on Facebook. That's where we're going. And after that, I don't know where we'll go next. But next September, we're trying to host a convention. We're trying to host a convention in the Hershey, Lancaster area, and we're going to find a spot, and we're going to build a convention called Everyone Games PA, and hashtag trademark that, whatever I got to do. Everyone Games PA. You heard it here first.
There you go.
Court of law says so, right?
That's right.
And what it's going to be is basically I'm going to do a video game music gaming convention for the 14 to 18-year-old student for the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you're on MagFest. Yeah.
I'm going MagFest, but younger. and I'm also going to add a college aspect to it, an educational aspect to it.
Okay.
Because I think what's really missing with kids is career path. So I'm gonna invite the Navy, and I'm gonna invite the Air Force and the Army, and I'm gonna invite all these colleges in, and they're gonna set up shop, and they're gonna talk exactly how you working in C# by yourself could be a career in their world. And then I'm going to get big names involved like JLG, which are local names here, who are looking for CAD engineer designers. Like we have a lot of these industrial companies today who are looking for designers that can code. And why not tell these 14-year-olds, look, this is the path. And there's a new trend in education now that actually is not taking you to college. A lot of these mega companies are hiring kids straight out of high school with some resume built up, like abilities built up, and they're just training them the way they want in-house, and they're keeping them in-house. And I mean, if you could tell my son, he's 12, that when he turns 19 or 20 years old, that he would have a job making $75,000 a year, I would do anything I could to get there for him. I would say, that's great.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
That's amazing. Like, how do I get him there? What do I got to do? Oh, he just has to, he can code in this language or that language or, whatever. And so that's a year out. We have a year out. After that, I don't know what we're going to do. Hopefully Everyone Games PA goes off, and then next thing you know, we're doing Everyone Games VA, and we're doing Everyone Games New Jersey, and we're doing Everyone Games.
Well, Maryland, don't leave Maryland out.
Maryland, of course, yeah, by default, yeah, Maryland by default. It'll be in Columbia. It'll be in Columbia, Maryland. They have more than enough space for it. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think that's going to be a great tool. It's going to be great exposure for my students too, because you have to understand, I'm taking my kids along with me. So the video game club, all the work is getting done by my students. Like they're learning how to design graphics. They're teaching themselves Photoshop just for this purpose of, I need to make a logo. Well, how do I do that? I go, here's Photoshop, go.
Well, and it's what we were talking about with the area of interest, and that idea of necessity is the mother of invention. And okay, now there's motivation, now there's purpose behind teaching myself Photoshop or whatever it is. That's so cool.
Absolutely. I mean, necessity, you're talking about parents, and this is I go back to my son. Necessity told me I cannot be a jock dad anymore, and that's. Parents need to get past, oh, my kid is. You cannot accept that. And that goes right with what you're saying.
Well, and I think for so many, it's more, I want my kid to be this.
Yeah, and they can. Well, to a certain extent, it depends on your kid, but they could be.
True. But I think a lot of times it's like, well, I was the jock, so I want my kid to be the jock.
Oh, you're talking to that guy right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me. But it's what's hilarious is listening to my son figure out how to talk trash. So I find these little nuances of jockdom all over the place, because he'll go, so did you like that? And he'll be like, wait, did you mean it? Are you trying to talk trash?
Yeah.
And he'll go, yeah, Dad, I was trying. I go, oh, okay, you're trying. Say it like this next time. And I teach him even that. Because you got to get past it. And you're right. My kid's never going to be normal. He's never going to be Joe average.
What is normal?
What is normal? Exactly. What is normal? You consider me normal? I don't know. I don't know. It depends what test I take, I think.
Well, Josh, I will tell you, I'm so glad that I wandered into TEDx Lancaster, and I know there are amazing teachers out there. My dad was a teacher 30 plus years, and I have so much respect for teachers and administrators, and I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. So thank you.
No, thank you, man.
For anybody within the sound of my voice, I will definitely pack the show notes with links and references, and so you guys can get to that stuff. That's right. You can get to the hashtag Rocco is awesome, and
Rocco's the man, right?
Yeah.
Rocco's the man. Rocco Zubia is his name.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Josh, I wish you all the luck in the world for this coming year, for
Thank you.
The panels that you're doing, the projects that you're doing, and I am going to definitely keep an eye out for all the amazing students you're teaching, and I look to hear amazing things from you. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, look forward to it. Yeah, look forward to it. I am, when you see me on Oprah, that's when I know I've made it. Okay.
Okay.
Or Ellen. I'll take Ellen also. It's either way.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for your time. We will definitely be in touch.
Yeah, dude. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed talking to you, TEDx. This is a wonderful job you're doing with your podcast. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's nobody really pays attention that much. So I'm glad there are people like you out there doing it.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we both get to help some people.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have to do a like lacrosse podcast or something like that. We'll just
Oh yeah, that would be great. That'd be wonderful. I'll tell you, we can just do sharing stories from lacrosse. You know?
There you go.
I remember when my knees were
have all of our old teammates on.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I don't know. Actually, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely don't think I want to do that.
Well, yeah, have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing this, man.
So again, thank you so much to Josh for being willing to sit down and talk with me. I'm going to make sure to include all the references and links to the different festivals and the VGC website, as well as the TEDx talk from Lancaster in our detailed show notes. I definitely encourage any of you within earshot of this podcast, if you have questions about how to start a VGC in your school, if you have questions as a parent about how can I make this work, I would definitely suggest reaching out to Josh. He is a super personable guy. He would love to talk with you just about how you can connect with your kid or the kids in your school, how you can connect them with each other and the local community surrounding. He is just an amazing guy, and they're going to be doing such cool things over the next year and beyond. So make sure to definitely check that out. I'll leave you with the immortal words of Dr. Seuss in one of my favorite books, The Lorax. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. So it's up to each of us to care and to get involved and to try to connect with our kids and in the community. So go out there and do it. Next episode is OTC Episode 8, where I get to sit down with Rachel, co-founder of Better, whose mission is to make healthcare simple and to help you get reimbursed for out-of-network healthcare services. If you have a question you'd like answered on air, you can call 717-897-0577 or email us at info@parentfamilysolutions.com and put podcast question in the subject line. Thanks again for stopping by, and I will catch you guys next episode. If you liked what you've heard on the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and review wherever you're catching this podcast at. You can check out any links and resources on our detailed show notes or other episodes that have been archived at www.parentfamilysolutions.com/podcast. If you want to catch up on what Parenting and Family Solutions is doing, be sure to follow us on any of your favorite social media apps. This is your host, John Dennis, saying good night. The author and host of this podcast is not engaged in a therapeutic relationship with the listener and cannot give counseling advice without a confidential appointment. Listeners should be sure to consult with a licensed therapist in their area or seek emergency medical attention if they are experiencing psychological difficulty. A special thanks to the Topsy Turvies for the show theme song. Their song, Like a Living Dead, can be found at topsyturvies.bandcamp.com. The bump interview track was the song 1973 by Bruno E. The author and host of this podcast is John Dennis. Special thanks to producer and editor Trevor Graw.